Hello there everybody, Jordan back again with another review, and this is going to be for the 2022 film Scream, and this is directed by Matt Bettinelli, Olpen and Tyler Gillett, and stars Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. A new killer is back in Woodsboro, now targeting a new set of characters. Now just a heads up guys, I've been reviewing all of the Scream movies, so if you want to check them out, they'll be in the link down below. And just a heads up, there will be spoilers in this review. So if you don't want to know who the Ghostface killer is, or killers, maybe come back after you've watched the movie. Well guys, this is the second time I've watched this movie. Obviously the first time was the cinema, and this time I watched it on 4K disc. And this is a film that is the first in the franchise that isn't directed by Wes Craven. And I remember all of the crew and everything saying that they had a script that Wes would be proud of, and it's just too good of a movie that they can't do it. You know, the script is too good. So they wanted to make a new Scream film. And I gotta admit, when I did watch it back in the day, I thought it was fine. No, nothing more. I did think it was on the lower end of the franchise, but I was still looking forward to going back to this one because I still remember it being solid, even though it was down the lower end. That's just the consistency of the Scream franchise now, isn't it? And this time, not only do we have a new director or directors, but we also have a set of new characters here. Now, don't get me wrong, Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox and David Arquette are in the background here, but this film more focuses on Melissa Barrera's character and Jenna Ortega's character. So Sam and Tara are like the main focal point of this movie. And basically, Jenna Ortega's character, Tara, is attacked in the opening scene, and Melissa Barrera's character, Sam, has to come to Woodsboro, where Tara lives, to protect her from this Ghostface killer, basically. But we do learn a few things about these characters, like Sam is the daughter of Billy Loomis. But I just like Melissa Barrera in the role. I've always thought she's a good actress. I loved her in The Heights. I think she's really got great screen presence. It helps that she's a beautiful looking woman as well. But Jenna Ortega, who I've been a fan of for many years now, I thought she was great in Babysitter Killer Queen, even though a lot of people hated that movie. I thought she was the standout, and I thought when I reviewed it on my other channel that she was going to go up into stardom and become a star. I even stated it then, and she has, with shows like Wednesday and everything. But these two really do feel like sisters, you know. They have a lot of similarities in the look department and everything. But Sam, even though she's been estranged from Tara, she's a very protective sister, and she will stand in harm's way before she is harmed, basically. And I really like that dynamic. They really feel like true sisters, even though they haven't seen each other for a while. And we've got a bunch of new characters as well that are surrounding them that I think are cool. You know, there's no dislikable people in this movie. There's no dislikable characters, which is a lot of the common thing with slasher movies. But here, the new focus, the core four, which we don't really learn until Scream 6, is solid, and I was very happy for these characters to move forward with this franchise. You know, you got Mindy, who's kind of like the Randy character. She's actually related to Randy, and she knows all the ins and outs of the horror movies, and she's going to be explaining the rules from here on out. So yeah, I was very happy to see the legacy characters take a backseat here. And it also just works because they come into the movie when these characters are needing a bit of help or need some guidance, and I think that definitely works best for Sydney's character and Gail's character now. And even Dewey, like Dewey's like the main sort of go-to character for help here. He's kind of like telling these characters what Randy told them in Scream 2 and everything, how to evade these Ghostface killers. They've just been there, done it, and seen it all before. So I kind of like that dynamic. We've got a new set of focused characters in the central position with these two, or these three, just sort of taking a backseat here, but observing what's going on and making sure these characters will get through it, basically. It's a good little approach to making this film. And as much as I love these characters, it just felt like it was needed. No, we've seen 4 movies now with these 3 taking the focal point, and I know that's not going to be the case going forward for Scream 7 by the looks of things, but yeah, I mean, that's a whole different story.
Would you like to play a game?
Now, what I will say is the opening is very strange here. We see Jenna Ortega's character, Tara, attacked in her own home, kind of really reminiscent to the opening of Scream, you know, from 1996. And it just feels weird because she isn't actually killed in this opening scene. I think every other opening that we've had before now has seen characters die, but it feels like, I don't know, they didn't want to go too far with this because it's Jenna Ortega. She's going to be a big star in the movie, but after that and after the initial viewing and halfway through the film, you do realise that this is very much needed, especially when it's explained in the reveal, because they need to get Sam into town. But I think it's a solid opening. It's a good way of just kicking off this movie. And I really like Ghostface, Roger L. Jackson. I've always liked him in these movies, in this moment as well, where he's on the phone to Tara. So yeah, pretty good opener. I mean, nearly all the openings in these films are great anyway. Now guys, we have had the original with all the meta slasher stuff, the sequel being sequels basically and how sequels work, the third one having the trilogies explained, the fourth movie kind of went for the remake approach, and here we are at the requel basically, because we had Halloween 2018 coming before this, and now this is a requel basically where you got the old characters there but a new sort of story taking place with the characters in the background. And it's kind of like Halloween 2018 where we've got the more focus of Jamie Lee Curtis in the background, and it's a sort of granddaughter who takes center stage there. This kind of does the same, and we've got Mindy explaining all the rules of requels. I always like how the movies kind of do this, where they explain the whole meta approach of what the actual film that we're watching is trying to do within this sort of world where Stab exists and everything. And I really liked how it poked fun at Stab. It was like Stab 9 now, just being called Stab. And they kind of don't like that, but this movie is called Scream, just like the original. Yeah, it's a good for the little in-joke of the movie, but I've got to admit, I've never liked this title. We should have just called it Scream 5. But I can see why, with the topic at hand and the approach they're going for, they did actually just call it Scream. And this movie definitely feels more gory. I mean, I think a lot of the kills in Scream have been held back a little bit, especially like Scream 3, where it was just mostly off-screen kills. I know there was reasons for that. But here, it does feel like you're seeing more flesh get torn apart and everything. Like, people's are getting knives stabbed right through the face and everything like that. It kind of goes for a little bit more, and it feels more brutal when characters are being, stabbed hundreds of times with knives and everything. But there is one moment in this film that I think is one of the best moments in the entire Scream franchise, where Deputy Judy is going out to get some shopping, some groceries or whatever, and her son is basically just having a shower in the house, and Ghostface calls her and says he's coming to kill her son. And as a father now, that really does hit. I mean, you can't really explain what's probably going through Judy's mind unless you're a parent. It must be a horrifying situation, and the fact that she runs back to help her son and is just killed there on the doorstep, and then his son is eventually killed afterwards. It's a really high tension, high stakes moment that totally works. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite moments in the entire Scream series.
I'll do anything.
You're not gonna make it in time, Sheriff Judy.
I will admit, this movie, whilst not being my favourite, does have balls where it actually takes out Dewey in this film, and it's quite brutal the way they take out Dewey as well. And I love how Ghostface basically turns to him and says it's an honour. That's a good little Ghostface line there. But was this kind of needed? I think it maybe was. It kind of states that we're moving away from these legacy characters now. And legacy characters are stated many times in this film. I'll get to all the meta approach in a minute. But Dewey, he was always going to be the expendable one out of the three, wasn't he? I mean, it just felt that way. I think Gail is way too strong of a character and too entertaining of a character to take out of this franchise. Sydney's the final girl. It just felt like Dewey was going to be the one. And unfortunately, he does. And I know a lot of people love Dewey. But I kind of think this is a positive for the movie, because it's a movie that says we're not messing about here and we're going to go for it. I got to say, guys, the whole reveal and third act is really fun in this film as well. I will admit, this is probably the weakest motive that two Ghostface killers have had. We've got Richie and Amber, who are just fans of movies, really, and love Stab so much. But it's a weak motive because they're kind of upset by the sequels and they just want to go back to the original, playing on the whole requel side of things. I get it. You know, I get what they're doing there. But when you look at the other motives in the other films, you got Billy Loomis, who was getting revenge for losing his mother, and planning this whole thing a year in advance with Sidney Prescott's mum and everything. Scream 2, you got Mickey, who basically just wants to be so famous and just big serial killer that everyone recognises, kind of like Ted Bundy and everything. But you've also got Miss Loomis, who wants revenge for his son. Scream 3, you got Roman Bridger, who's neglected as a kid by Maureen Prescott, and he's getting revenge for his childhood being taken away, and Sidney getting all the attention, and being Sidney's brother, of course. Scream 4, you got Jill, who just wants the fame. She wants to be the sole survivor, and she just wants all this popularity. But here, they're upset by some movies and some sequels that got made. Yeah, not quite falling for that one, really. I do think that's the weakest motive out of all these 5 Scream films. But there's some great stuff that happens here. I really like how Gail gets revenge on Amber by setting her on fire by the cooker there. And it really just feels like a big fuck you for taking Dewey away from her. Also, we've got Sam with a killer instinct because she is Billy Loomis's daughter, really. Just stabbing the shit out of Richie. Like, how many times does she go for him there? That's what a real murderer, hardcore murderer would do. Just a killer instinct kicking in there. And also we do have the fact that it takes place in Stu Macher's house. Like, we don't really know this until the end that Amber's parents bought this house, and that's what kind of set off her fandom for, you know, finding Richie on Reddit and everything like that. But that was a good little bit of a nostalgia bait and a real nice surprise to have in the third act as well. Now, guys, I do have a few negatives with this film. It's far from perfect, and one of them has always been the whole shoehorning in of Billy Loomis in this film. It feels like they needed to bring one of the famous Ghostface killers back for the fans and have a bit of fan service there. And I know a lot of the story is written around Billy Loomis being the father of Sam, but it just feels like lazy writing, like he had a kid in school that Sidney didn't know of, with this girl behind their back or before their relationship. We don't find out till now. I mean, really? And the whole Sam not knowing whether she's going to be a killer or not, when it's kind of obvious that she's not going to turn into a killer, the movie kind of just hints at it. I don't think they were ever going to go there with that. So, do we really need this big Billy Loomis storyline? It makes it interesting a little bit, I suppose, but it's just never quite worked for me, unfortunately. I do think it's pretty obvious that Richie is going to be the killer in this film. I mean, I kind of half guessed it. I didn't get it fully because I was questioning every single character, to be honest. But when you watch it back, it is damn obvious that he is going to be the killer. He doesn't know what Stab is. I mean, it's kind of like saying any neutral movie fan doesn't know what Scream is or Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, everyone's heard of them films. Also, he is very conveniently stabbed in the hospital in the arm. And when Amber is shot, he looks very sad when this Ghostface killer is shot in the hospital in front of him. He just has this look where he's like, oh no. So, yeah, when you look back, he was always going to be the killer, wasn't he? It was pretty damn obvious. More to the fact that it's the main focus character's boyfriend. I mean, who is the killer in Scream 1, which this movie's trying to replicate? Oh yeah, Sidney's boyfriend. And there's also a few dumb character decisions. Another reason you will see that Richie is the killer is because he tells everyone in this party to go home. Why? You're only going to get some asthma cartridge from upstairs for Jenna Ortega's character. Why does everyone need to go home? So there's another reason that he's the killer. But also, Melissa Barrera never actually opposes that. Surely you are going to be a lot more safe with lots more people around and you can't trust everyone around you. That just felt off to me. Also, Chad won't go upstairs with his girlfriend, who's kind of all over him because he doesn't trust her, but then he'll just go outside in the front on his own in the pitch black. Yeah, another bad character decision there. So there's just a few of them in this movie that kind of annoy me a little bit and grate on me. Also, is anyone tired of Dewey and Gale kind of just not being on the same page in all of these films? I mean, they seem very happy in the Scream 1, but they've only just met. But Scream 2, they're not together at the start of the movie. Scream 3, they're not together at the start of the movie. Scream 4, they are together, but then they start to argue because Dewey won't tell Gale some information about the crimes. And then in 5, they're not together again. Yeah, kind of just tired of all that now. I know this can't carry on after this movie, but I kind of just wish they were just together in this film. I mean, what difference would it have made? Also, I do think there's an over-explanation of the rules here. I mean, I know all the Scream films do this, but this one just seems to be doing it in every other scene. Even when characters are going down the basement and they're saying to each other, you shouldn't go down the basement alone, unless you're the killer, of course. And then they're talking about Sidney being the original and the over-explanation of requel rules. I mean, even in the third act where the whole reveal happens, they're constantly going on about the rules and going back to the original. We get it, it's a requel. So it's a good idea with the requel and everything and sort of playing on that, but it just seems to over and over and over explain these damn rules. However, guys, my biggest problem with Scream 5 is that it just feels like it's very safe. Now, I know the movie has balls by taking out Dewey and everything like that, but I don't know, it just feels very close to home. It just feels like we've done something like this before. I mean, I know Scream 4 goes back to Woodsboro, but that kind of is the whole point. It's all on the anniversary of Sidney being attacked and Sidney's reason to go back to Woodsboro. So, yeah, after 3 movies, you know, why not go back there? But here, we're back in Woodsboro again. The only difference here, we've got a new set of characters, really. It just follows a lot of beats from the first movie, and I know that's what it's trying to do, to replicate the original a little bit. But, I don't know, it just... They said they had a standout script that Wes Craven would be proud of, and I'm sure he would have liked this film, of course. It's a decent movie, but it just doesn't do anything too unfamiliar. I think it's just very, very safe. Okay, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. I'm going to give Scream, or Scream 5, or Scream 2022, whatever the fuck you want to call it, a 7 out of 10. I liked it a little bit less on this rewatch, guys, but it's still solid, like every movie in this franchise up to now. Okay, guys, at the end of these reviews, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, a fun fact for Scream 5 is that the picture of Gale and Dewey in Dewey's trailer is actually a real photo from their real life, because they were married, of course, and yeah, they brought that in and put it on the set. Okay, guys, hope you all enjoyed this review. Don't forget to check out my other Scream reviews. They'll be in the link down below. What do you think of Scream 2022, Scream 5, whatever? Please do let me know in the comments down below. What's your favourite Scream movie? And I'll get back to you all, I promise. Thanks so much, guys. You all take care. I'll see you all in the next video.